The single biggest threat to Social Security is probably not what you're thinking, at least according to a Biden administration official. And I will cover that in just a moment. The truth is that things are not looking good. We have been told that inflation is under control and we shouldn't worry. We've also heard that from many government officials that there isn't a banking crisis, but yet we are seeing it firsthand. And lastly, did you hear about the one that the U.S. is not dipping into a recession? And no, that's not a joke. People are actually saying that. There are really officials out there saying that we are far from a recession. But the fact of the matter is this. A recession would be a huge threat to Social Security. But why? Well, it's actually pretty simple. If we see a recession usually means there's higher unemployment. When we see more people on unemployment than working, what happens is more money is not going into Social Security because there's not a Social Security tax that people are paying. That's a problem. Now, I just want you to keep that in mind because according to some Biden administration officials, they're saying that's not the biggest threat. Now, let's get right down to it. By now, you have probably heard of the banking crisis on our hands. This could cause a recession sooner rather than later. Again, most economists are projecting we will dip into a recession. It would likely be a mild recession, but we would still dip into a recession. And you need to keep that in mind because you should prepare for that. I have said this for quite a while. We are going to dip into a recession. I don't know when, don't know how bad it's going to be, but we will dip into a recession. And once we do, the people with cash, the people with money, those are the ones that are going to have a very easy time. If you don't have any money, you are going to struggle. Now, here's what I can tell you. Why are economists projecting that we are going to dip into a recession sooner rather than later? Well, it's simple. It's because economists are now projecting that we are going to see a pullback in bank lending. That's going to cause a recession. Well, it's going to cause more problems on top of the problems we already have. But again, this is why I'm telling you this. Let's get back to the topic at hand, though. Okay, what is the biggest threat to Social Security? Well, according to Shalonda Young, she's the director of the White House Office of Management and Budget. She said, and I quote, "This president believes the biggest threat to Social Security are those who want to cut it." But here's the truth. In 2023, there's no Republican and there's no Democrat that has proposed legislation to cut Social Security. There has been, talks. There has been, statements from lawmakers in the past, and most recently in 2022, where yes, some discussed cuts to Social Security. Let's just make some cuts right off the top. Everybody sees a little bit less. We will be fine. Well, the people, the recipients, will not be fine. Will the Social Security, trust, will that be, solvent for a little bit longer? Yes, but is that going to fix the problem? No, it is not. Now, according to multiple reports, there has been open discussions regarding the potential need to eventually raise the full retirement age. And this is where Democrats say that is a cut. That raising the full retirement age is a cut. But this is where Republicans come back and say, no, we're not going to raise the full retirement age for somebody that is 55 years or older, that has been paying into the system for the majority of their life. That's not who we are thinking about raising the full retirement age for. Who we need to raise the full retirement age for are those that are 18, 20 years old. Those are the ones that haven't been paying into the system yet, or they're just starting to. And so if we raise the full retirement age for those people who would become retired in the next 50 years, that will be fine. Now, the GOP is saying that the biggest threat to Social Security is that the president is not acknowledging that we do have a problem especially in his fiscal year 2024 federal budget. That is what the GOP is saying. But then you have Shalonda Young, who comes out and says, no, the president believes the biggest threat to Social Security is those who want to see cuts. Not Social Security itself, not the Social Security tax, not the Social Security tax cap. Those aren't the biggest threats. It's the GOP. That's the threat. Well, when Senator Mitt Romney asked the White House official if she was aware of the trust funds coming insolvency, she said that yes, I'm aware. And then Senator Romney followed up that with saying this, and I quote, well, why is it then that in the president's budget, there's no effort to address that whatsoever? I question this myself. I question why, if Social Security and Medicare are two of the biggest issues that we're facing in 2023, why is that not really addressed in his budget? That didn't make any sense. And at this point, when Senator Mitt Romney asked this, the White House official simply danced around that question. Now, here's the problem that I have. Both Republicans and Democrats have said that 2023 is the year for Social Security. Year of Social Security. That makes me feel like, okay, they are going to get this addressed in 2023. But like I've said before, the longer we wait to address Social Security, to address Medicare, guess what's going to happen? It becomes harder. Okay? It becomes harder to pass legislation. Why? Well, both parties are going to find something to prioritize over Social Security. This is exactly what's happening right now, because we now have a banking crisis on our hands, and now lawmakers are expecting we're going to address this banking crisis first. Then we'll go talk about Social Security. Then we'll go talk about paid leave. Then we'll go talk about Medicare. But until we get the banking crisis handled, we're not going to discuss Social Security. Nobody really cares about the fiscal year 2024 budget when we have an issue today regarding our banking system. So now, and again, when the White House official is saying that the president believes the biggest threat to Social Security is the GOP making cuts, I don't think the biggest threat to Social Security is the GOP. I think the biggest threat to Social Security is that nobody is prioritizing it, that it gets pushed to the back burner every single time. Remember what happened last year? We started to see inflation hit 9%. It went to 9.1%. You know what the biggest threat to Social Security was? That we had inflation. You know what the biggest threat to Social Security before that was? Well, we had an employment crisis. You know what the biggest threat to Social Security was the year before that? Well, again, we had an employment crisis. We had a virus that we had to worry about, right? And so the money wasn't flowing to Social Security. So again, every single year, we're going to see another biggest threat to Social Security. But it just depends on, does anybody decide to do anything about it? As of right now, the answer is probably no. So just wanted to give you this quick little update regarding Social Security and the news that came out just yesterday. Again, if the biggest threat to Social Security is lawmakers proposing cuts, just proposing cuts, I think we're fine. But if we do see cuts, yes, this could be a major threat. But again, the biggest threat to Social Security is becoming insolvent. Because I guarantee you, nobody's talking about a cut of 22%. Nobody's talking about that. If we see a cut to Social Security, chances are it's going to be 5 to 10%, according to recent reports. So, if Social Security does become insolvent, you would receive about 77 to 78% of your normal benefit amount. That's about 22 to 23% cut. So, to me, the biggest threat to Social Security is insolvency, not the GOP, not Democrats. It's a bigger problem. So, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.